Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Race Chat Live. It's your host and your partner in crime, Caution Flag of Racing Radio. Boy, we got us a good one planned here tonight. Actually, we don't have nothing planned. Through the itinerary right out the window. I suck. It's my fault. I'll take blame for whatever happens here tonight. Hopefully it won't be too much of an issue. But I've got some other partners around that can definitely make sure that it is. That's just what it is.
I think we got this.
So I think we do too. It's Talladega week for me. I've been slammed. I have a new job that I've started. It's kind of doing routes, and it's different than what I'm used to doing, and so I haven't gotten the schedule quite figured out yet. And I mean, just we all have excuses.
I'm on the call,
assholes too. So, but I did get to watch the race, and I did get to listen to Denny Hamlin's podcast. I listened to DBC today, so I did do homework. But everything else is kind of doo-doo from here. So,
when are you guys
thank you, Ms. Lee.
When are you guys leaving for
Friday? Friday morning. We bought garage passes for Friday because I thought that the garage didn't open up until 1 or 12 or whatever. Well, the garage actually opens up at 8 in the morning, so we may be leaving a little bit earlier than expected. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see how things go. But this is our annual trip to Talladega. We've been doing this every year except for the COVID year. Since 2010, we've experienced a whole lot of different Degas, and we started just, my wife and I ran down there one night before the race, and we wound up getting hit by a big truck and at a parking spot, and we listened to Bob Marley. Everything was going to be all right, so we parked 2 miles from the speedway and walked all the way to the racetrack. By the time we got there, I was completely exhausted. We walked down to the bottom of the steps, and that was about the time that the race cars were coming around for the first time. Not quite wide-ass open, but definitely for the first time. And I just remember the exhilarating, just the loud explosion of noise, and I knew right then I was never going to not miss a day. And it sucks when you're at home watching Talladega on TV. And I've had to stay at some fall races. I've missed some fall races over the years. But every spring race we've been there. So it sucks to watch Talladega on TV. we'll just drive the 2.5 hours up here, spend a couple of $1,000, and call it a vacation. But, hey, we've got some newbies coming along this year. My kids have kind of grown up. They've been out there since 2015. They're teenagers now, so they're bringing their buddies. So we're going to have, I believe, 3 newbies. So they'll earn their Talladega stripe this time. One adult and 2 extra children. So really looking forward to that, and passing on this thing that we call racing, man. I tell you what, it's amazing. But so I've got a ton of excuses, man. And hey, the racing sucked this week, and I don't know if y'all realize it, but every time Kyle Larson wins, it sucks the life right out of me. And it just, it's so much compared to what happens in other forms of racing, where one team or one person kind of just dominate, and they kind of stink the show up. And I think that's where we were with Hendrick Motorsports a few years ago. Basically 7 champions, with 7 championships with Jimmy Johnson, coming out of Jeff Gordon's 4 or 5 champions. So I've been Hendrick fatigued. Of course, Dale Jr. drove for them. But, it's the same old story, right? It's the same old story. We go to Martinsville, and it's nothing against, Hendrick. I know he experienced a tragedy there and whatnot. But, man, at what point in time could somebody whoop up on Hendrick's ass and take the throne there at Martinsville? It's time for them to start seeing what it's like to get laughed instead of winning. Jesus Christ, I think they've won like 20. I've seen a stat earlier. It's crazy. They won like 28 races there.
28.
Jesus Christ. Enough already. Like, we had a top 10 that was beautiful. There were names that you just didn't expect to see there. But by the end of the race, who's winning? Kyle freaking Larson, man. This is like, oh my gosh, it's Kyle Busch all over again, I guess. But there was absolutely no passing. Every show that I've listened to, guys, they've talked about the rain tires and how they provided a better racing surface, a better racing, attempted passing with rain tires was easier than without. I'm just not sure if we've got the right car for what we're racing here. And Denny Hamlin, very rarely do I side on the side with a racer, because as a fan, we want to see something that excites. As a racer, doesn't ever want to be touched. He wants to put an ass whooping on everybody and beat them by straightaway every weekend. He doesn't want bounties put on him because he doesn't want the jinx of somebody trying to wreck him or something like that. I understand it all. So most of the time, I try to side with the fan because here and there. But, man, when the driver says the racing sucks, and I'll be honest with you, I love Denny Hamlin's podcast. I think it's amazing to hear a driver who's willing to put this all out there and talk about it. And, look, the racing sucks, and this car sucks, and we need to throw this shit away and restart and do something else. We've given the car a year and a half.
I just want to throw in a couple of things. Nate Ryan had a thread about the race Sunday, and talking about the no passing and whatnot, and he says, and I quote, "I covered races at Martinsville for 24 years, and Sunday wouldn't touch my top 10 there." Okay, but he did mention that there were 2,026 green flag passes in the 400 laps. Last year, there were 1,907 in 903 laps across both races, spring and fall, at Martinsville. So, to say that there was no passing is kind of not exactly right, but I agree that it was very hard for these guys to pass. And, drivers have talked about it, and I've seen in several different articles across different genres that, maybe they need to do something about the horsepower, but that is not something that's going to happen overnight. That's got years of R&D to go into it. But something that they can change would be increasing the tire fall off. That doesn't take that much, they change tires on a yearly basis on from track to track. So that's something that they could do. Nate Ryan also said maybe eliminate shifting at speed on the ovals. And he says that this is something that should have been done before this season. So just a little bit of info to add to the discussion.
Yeah, I'm right on with it. Stats don't lie, and though they can exaggerate the truth, or they can not, you can be blown away by certain stats. When you really look at what you said, Miss Lee, and you try to say, okay, well, how many of those passes were legitimate? Like, more than just side by side and two guys passing. How many times did a car forward itself by more than 4 cars or 5 cars at a time? That's a more telltale sign of how quickly this car can move through the field. And there is issues with the horsepower. There's issues with too much stability in the car, and these cars are too close to each other. They're all cookie cutter cars, so there's no real fall off from one maker to another. And you're right, Miss Lee. Maybe a new tire could come in and kind of help this. Look, I'm all for racing groove tires, guys. Right? Is it time to put away the slicks and leave them for drag racing and bring us a groove tire, stock car racing? I mean, it doesn't seem that far-fetched, right? At least with the groove race tire, you're able to...
That would also bring it back a little more to its roots when stock cars were literally stock cars.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. You hit the nail on the head. They want these cars to be as close to what we get on the showroom floor, yet the tires aren't, and they're not really stock cars anymore. I can't go buy one at my local Chevy dealer or my local Ford dealer or Toyota or
Craig, you've worked in a car lot before. You could go buy a Camaro and put some Ford stickers on it, but you still got a Camaro. I mean, that's exactly what this car is, and there's no way that I drive a Camry every single day. The Camry, even in the pace field, just makes it look ridiculous, right? You got a Camry out there pacing the field, and then you've got a car that you're calling a Camry, and it looks the same thing as a Ford and a Chevy. It's just, and I heard it this week, Craig, Miss Lee. I'm not sure if Taz is here. We need to bring him in if he's here. Dadgummit, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Dadgummit, I did. I lost my train of thought. Taz, is Taz available?
Sure am.
Oh, there he is. Hey, buddy. So we haven't brought you in on the conversation. Of course, the jittery got thrown out the window. What are your thoughts so far on the subject as I try to regain what it was I was wanting to bring to attention?
I was waiting to go over the rundowns, but we throw this out the window for sure. But, something needs to change with either the car or the package itself, because obviously whatever changes they made, it did not improve. I mean, I just threw the stat into the group chat that there was 2,026 green flag passes that averaged about 5.8 per green flag lap, and that doesn't say a whole lot, especially at a short track.
Right.
Wow.
And you would expect a lot more on a short track, especially Martinsville.
Right. Yeah, I mean, compared to last week at Bristol with a dirt race, right? I found last week's race way more exciting than this week, and we've definitely missed the grade here. We had great short track racing. We had great super speedway racing. We had pretty good road course racing. Our mile and a half racing sucked. Now everything sucks except for road course racing, and by design, I think that's exactly what we should have known was going to happen here. This car was created as a mimic of the IMSA car, the Camaro, basically, and this is what we've got now. It just, I'm so disappointed. Like last year, we were on such a high that this car was going to bring equality. It was going to bring, it was going to bring the racing back, and it's been kind of quite the opposite. Outside of the different winners, I mean, that's the only thing that we've been able to really enjoy through it all, I guess, is the parity and winning. But that grace period seems to be over and done with. Kyle Busch ran what, 20 something? I mean, my gosh, man, we could talk about that here in a minute too if you want to. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's a crime against racing, I feel like.
It definitely was not the best race of the season so far.
Well, that's the Cup news. We can get into the truck news, so we can stay on cue with that. I know he's got a little bit of rundown to go through, and we want to try to stay on the itinerary that we would most definitely probably have. But one note, Carson Hocevar probably needs to learn how to wreck somebody without wrecking himself. Did anybody catch that?
I didn't catch the truck race.
Yeah, it was on Friday night, and of course they raced oval race in rain tires during a dry. I mean, it really wasn't even raining or anything. Track seemed dry as well. So once again, they talked about the fall off, faster speeds with groove tires, and just. All around, I'm just not sure that we hit a home run this past weekend. I hope it's better this coming weekend at Talladega. That's all I can say. And there's a lot of air. Dead air.
It used to be that everybody looked forward to short track racing because of the beating and the banging and the passing and whatnot. But I agree. I was more excited about from what I saw on the highlights that I watched earlier, and I watched the dirt race. I was more excited to watch the dirt race than I was Martinsville, and I figured those two back-to-back would be, they put on a great show as usual. But nope, Bristol got a far better rating from me.
Yeah, me too, Craig. I mean, it's almost night and day, and I love Martinsville. I've always loved the PaperClip. It's been one of my favorite racetracks and a place that I've wanted to go to since I was a little kid. When the first time I seen the train pass back behind the speedway, I've always had a fascination with trains. I'm from a train town. Trains are very big here where I come from, so I kind of relate to Martinsville. I have a train that runs through my backyard here where I live today. I've always felt that I've wanted to go to another track. If there was one track I could go to, it would definitely be Martinsville, Virginia, to watch that race there. It's a smaller racetrack, but it's always provided great door-to-door banging racing. And, we did have, of course, a pass for the lead. Kyle Larson did that. I believe Denny Hamlin passed somebody for the lead as well. But it seems to be an issue. I don't know. I heard it said that you can take a junk race car, run it out front, and nobody can catch him. And you can take a good race car and run it in the back, and he can't go anywhere because of dirty air. If we're back to that again, guys, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where we go from here other than completely scratching all this that we're doing and try to dig out the old Cup cars that we had a couple of years ago, man. I mean, I'm not ready to say that this car is a failure, But, maybe coming out of COVID, we were blind. I don't know. Last year did not seem to be this year. I guess just money and gains have been made over the winter. And, maybe the package we're in, Denny Hamlin said if you increase the horsepower, eliminate the need to shift. But they're trying to save $1 million a year on our engine packages, so, I'm not really, I'm not an engineer. I don't know what will happen if we increase the horsepower immensely. I don't know what will happen if you give a little bit here, add a little bit there. I'm not sure where or how to fix this car. All I know is that if you're not bringing a good product to the table, you're not going to have fans who are going to want to watch it. It makes this show hard. It makes anybody's show hard when they're trying to sell this sport as a fun sport and something to waste 4.5 hours of their day to enjoy.
Martinsville was one of Mr. Lee's favorite tracks to watch. And so, I went into this race thinking, okay, this is going to be really fun. And boy, I'm glad he wasn't here to see this race because he would have been extremely disappointed too. And like I said earlier, your horsepower is not something that you can change overnight, but your tires you can. So, let's look long term, but let's do what we can in the short term too.
Yeah, I agree. And where the heck the Toyotas are, it seems like them and Ford are on a totally another page. Some good news that we can talk about real quick. Colleague Racing got their appeals overturned. They overturned the appeal. Hell yeah.
Well, and NASCAR stood up for them, and I'm glad that they did because it's only fair. If they returned all the points to Hendrick, then Colleague should have gotten all their points back too, and that's it's only fair. So I'm looking forward to seeing how going forward the appeals process is going to supposedly be a little more transparent. Whether they'll televise the appeals or, at least give it some, press coverage, whatever. But, I'm glad, and I'm glad that NASCAR stood up for Colleague and stood up for this. And I'm glad that the gentleman who heard the final appeal agreed.
Yeah, me too. And kudos to that person for doing the wrong thing. It doesn't make Hendrick any less guilty. It doesn't make the crime any less serious. But when you let one team get away with it, you and I don't expect to see NASCAR going after Colleague Racing like they went after Hendrick. And we all know that NASCAR went after Hendrick's two cars a few weeks ago after all this happened with the appeal being overturned. The appeals board overturning the points penalty that was handed out to Hendrick Motorsports. Point standings say otherwise at Chris Creighton, Taz Taylor. Do you have furthermore anything to add to that, Taz?
Yeah, you mentioned something where the Toyotas are at. I'm going to counter you in the point standings because Christopher Bell's your point leader. That's a Toyota. Martin Truex Jr., 5th in points, Toyota. Tyler Reddick, 6th in points. Denny Hamlin, 9th in points. Right there's 4 Toyotas in the top 10 in points. Now, this is where I feel like we know where the slackers are in Toyotas, and that should come to no surprise. But I do feel like there's one Toyota who is starting to, I guess, find his rhythm, and that's Ty Gibbs and Bubba Wallace, who I'm referring to. And Ty Gibbs is the one I'm specifying as in he's finally starting to find the rhythm, find his groove. He's at 20th in points right now. He does have 4 top 10s in 9 races. However, but I think those 4 top 10s have come in the last, 4 or 5 races that we've had. So I don't think Toyota's really that far behind the 8 ball as you made it seem.
Yeah, well, okay. Toyota has 4 guys in the top 10. Obviously, I believe the other 4 would be Hendrick Motorsports, correct?
Currently, Ross Chastain second, that's Trackhouse. Kyle Larson, 4th, that's Hendrick. And 8th is Kyle Busch. So only 3 Chevys in the top 10 in points.
Oh.
Ford only has 3. Ford has 3 in the top 10 as well, and Harvick 3rd, Logano 7th, and Blaney 10th.
Yeah, we took our points leader and the guy who's having the second best season behind Christopher Bell, and we penalized them 65 points or 75 points, something to that matter. So yeah, that would make sense that Toyota's looking a little bit better, because that would definitely knock Denny Hamlin out, sitting there in 9th place. And yeah, I mean, really, they are who we thought they were, Taz. And Toyota's they're obviously they're just a beat behind Hendrick, but right now, and Chastain, I mean, wow, is this a kid who's going to wind up at Hendrick Motorsports and doing a Kyle Larson in a couple of years? I mean, is he overperforming in Trackhouse equipment? Daniel Suarez definitely. Until we get a 3rd team at Trackhouse, I'm just not sure if we can legitimize that. But I do believe Chase Elliott. He was back this weekend. I don't know if any of y'all knew that. Did any of y'all know Chase Elliott was back this weekend?
I don't know. I couldn't tell if he was back this week or next week with the 100,000 advertisements that were put out each and every day.
Yeah, no
especially
kidding.
Especially the paid advertisements that you see on Twitter almost every 3 posts.
Oh my God! Right. But I mean, that's a good thing, right? Maybe they need to do a little bit more of that. I've heard that a lot this week as well.
But I do want to say this, Chris. I normally keep track of my own rankings every couple of weeks, and I know we don't talk about rankings in terms of team wise. But I will say this. You guys may think Hendrick could be 1 or 2. I honestly do not have them as a top 2 team. I don't even have them as a top 3 at the moment. I have them as 4th. I ranked them 4th for last time I did it, because I feel like these penalties are hurting them. And the other part was the whole Chase Elliott incident. Obviously, that kind of hurt Hendrick as an organization in some sort of sense. It may not look like it, but I feel like it had to on some sort of level because of Chase Elliott, missing out in 6 weeks. You now have 2 different drivers coming in to fill in the ride and do the best you can with people that they probably have never worked with before in their careers.
Yeah. Yeah, and finished 2nd place, man. I mean, how about Josh Berry? No wonder Chase Elliott come back so quick, right?
He said, "Let me speed up this recovery. Let me speed up this recovery so I don't lose my seat."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to return to Martinsville, where I've been the most dominant team in the world. But who knows, man? We got Talladega coming up next week. Has anybody seen the? I know we're all waiting on the TV ratings, right? We want to see if this 500,000 fans come back because Chase Elliott's back. I'm ready to see what the ratings
I thought they
are
released that on Tuesday, but
I'm looking for Adam Stern right now because normally he's got the ratings, and I haven't seen. I got the GP Long Beach, IndyCar. Oh, here we go. I got it now. Fox Sports 1 earned a 1.26 rating and a 2.218 million viewers for Sunday's NASCAR race at Martinsville, up from last year's comparable race, which was on a Saturday night, and up from last year's season-long FS1 average. It's the first increase for a NASCAR Cup points race this year.
It's that many Chase Elliott fans. I swear, I think that's not a stat we need to admit, and that's sad because what that says is there's not superstars in this sport anymore. That's what that says. If that's that much star power in one driver, it is a shame. You know, my son today just really caught me off guard. You know, he was always my youngest son's always been a Kyle Busch fan. And so he was like, yeah, Dad, I want to see Kurt Busch. I was like, you want to see Kurt Busch? Yeah. He said, yeah, Dad, because, you know, I like Kurt Busch. And I said, well, what happened? I thought you liked Kyle Busch. He said, he's not the candy man anymore. I said, he's not, like, that makes you not a fan of him anymore because he's not the candy man? Yeah, Dad. So, I don't know. I guess the sport's going to live and die on Chase Elliott.
I find that stat surprising considering that the race was on FS1 and not on Fox.
That's what I'm saying because, I mean, it wasn't a common. Obviously, it's not a main broadcast channel. It does. I don't know what was on Fox at that time, but yeah, I mean, seeing that it hit high numbers, the highest number of viewers for FS1, or at least the average, that's insane, and I think we can really call this downslope that we've had in viewership, what people are now calling it the Chase Elliott effect, and that really shows how many people are fans of him and maybe how popular he really is.
Well, if you think about it, you know, they're going for a younger viewership, and who's going to appeal to younger people than another young person? They don't care about necessarily, you know, somebody like a Kevin Harvick that we care about, you know, as fans as long as we've been. You know, so, yeah, the Chase effect, it's a thing.
It's real.
Well, you know,
it's damn real.
Yeah. So Chase lived behind Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon. Those guys all kind of left Hendrick Motorsports at the same time as Chase Elliott, who was a part of Hendrick organization since he was 15 years old. So, you know, he's already in like his 10th or 15th year, like in the organization. You know, you have Denny Hamlin, who was, you know, was he the captain of Joe Gibbs Racing? I would think that at the time it was Tony Stewart, and then kind of the torch got passed to Kyle Busch. And so now Denny Hamlin's just now being able to be at the spotlight. Kevin Harvick, you know, was he ever really the man? Was he ever really the spotlight? I'm just not sure. So we are at a point to where we are lacking superstars, right? I mean, Chase Elliott somehow inherited the Dale Jr. effect, though Jr. had a hell of a lot more personality and was a hell of a lot more relatable to the everyday person than Chase Elliott's ever been. I mean, I understand people love Bill Elliott, and he was a big thing in the South. I promise you, Awesome Bill from Dawsonville wasn't no joke. The $1 million bill. You know, he was a cornerstone. You've seen Coors Light everywhere. Or Coors Original, whatever the car was. But you know, how Chase Elliott inherited such a prominent position in the sport. I mean, we're talking about Chase Elliott now compared to the time that Jeff Gordon reigned NASCAR, the time that Jimmy Johnson reigned NASCAR, the time that Dale Earnhardt reigned NASCAR, Richard Petty. Okay, we're putting Chase Elliott, this guy that I don't like, and I don't know who. I mean, he's got a lot of fans, I guess, but come on. I mean, I don't get it. What's this guy ever done to be the superstar of the sport versus what these other guys have done? No wonder. You know, I'm not sure if there's animosity or not, but, you know, if you're the likes of Kevin Harvick or Denny Hamlin, where you got the stats and the wins to prove it, you know, Chase Elliott, as far as I'm concerned, he's got a championship in COVID year. So did LeBron, you know. Was it legitimate? I'm not really sure. Compared to other things.
Let me ask you a question, going off of what you just said about what makes it legitimate. What makes it a legitimate championship? It's not fans. It's not asses and seats. So, I mean, what makes it legitimate?
You know, I'm not sure, Craig. And like I said, I mean, we're learning a lot about the sport this week. And I don't want to be the title of Denny's podcast this week was Denny Downer. And, I mean, how fitting is that? I mean, we are at a point now to where even on this radio show, it's hard to find something positive to highlight other than, thank God we're going to Talladega this week. Because we just left one of the most coolest racetracks that's ever been laid on God's earth, and it sucked. And I'm kicking a can because I'm just so upset. Like, I mean, and it's not even the fact that Hendrick won. It's just the fact that the race sucked. It sucked.
Yeah, I'm going to try to go back on something here with the Bristol dirt race. Because keep that. All right, so here we go. Martinsville, ready? I remember saying it was like 2,000-something green flag passes that averaged 5.8 per green flag lap. Go a week earlier, Bristol dirt, 3,699 green flag passes, which averaged 20.9 per green flag lap. I'm sorry, but we got to fix something with Martinsville. Because I'm going to go back further to Richmond, and Richmond did even better. And usually Richmond's the sleeper versus Martinsville. Richmond, 3,816 green flag passes that averaged 11 per green flag lap. Richmond doubled Martinsville, and Richmond's normally the snoozer. So either this package does not work at Martinsville at all, or we need to figure something new out.
Put dirt on it.
I agree. I wouldn't doubt NASCAR from doing it. I really wouldn't, Ms. Lee.
Shoot. I would be okay if at this point I would be okay with the Cup Series ditching the next gen cars and throw them in the freaking SRX cars for one race from Martinsville and see if we can get anything better.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
I'm sure we would have better racing, but NASCAR wouldn't. They wouldn't allow it to be called NASCAR. That's for sure. And you know, all this is coming about, right? Like all this is kind of building up with what's going on with the RTA and what's going on with the TV deal and what's going on with the race car and fines that mysteriously, overturned and. All this is kind of bearing in one direction, right? I mean, it feels like a pot that's fixing to erupt. And if, I understand Twitter creates a lot of negativity. We have done shows on Race Chat Live during COVID when there wasn't anything to talk about in racing. We found topics to talk about. So we could talk about better things tonight. But it just feels like this is what we should talk about. This is what's going on in the sport. And if you're not recognizing it and you don't notice it, you know, then how are you going to stop it? How are you going to make this better? I think there's a lot of common ground that's got to be met somewhere. Whether or not all these common parts is the answer, I'm not sure. You know, I'm just afraid we're going to wake up tomorrow and NASCAR is going to decide to build a car like IndyCar, you know, and and then they're going to call it the Indy NASCAR or something, you know, because I mean that just feels like that, you know, it's a spinning bottle if anything goes right now, except for the right way.
Spin the bottle's not a fun game to play.
Excuse me.
It's quite risky, Craig. It is. It's quite risky, and I feel like that's the direction that our leadership has pushed us into, where you're just basically spinning the bottle.
I mean, I don't know what. Go ahead.
No. I would love to know what you had to say.
I just think NASCAR is grasping at straws. They've got to do something different. I mean, going back to the whole Chase Elliott effect, I don't know who coined that phrase. I don't know if that was something that one of us came up with, or because I never heard it anywhere else. But you know, it's scary. But apparently, you know, everybody lives and dies on what Chase Elliott does. And going back to your comment about the cars, I from the highlights I watched, I would have taken a nap. I would have fallen asleep because it wasn't exciting. I'd rather watch kids race bicycles.
Yeah, you know, you expected this a mile and a half, right? That this was the mile and a half race where, you know, Martin Truex Jr. led the Coca-Cola 600 for 329 laps, right? This was Martinsville, y'all. This was Martinsville. We're supposed to be excited, man. We're supposed to be talking about the wrecks, the fights, the shovings out of the way. Instead, all we can talk about is Joey Logano getting lapped twice and finishing second. That's the highlight of the freaking weekend, right? How in the hell that happened? In NASCAR, not seeing a freaking tire up against the wall for 38 seconds.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I noticed that. I was watching that. Let's get you started, Taz. We need some excitement on this show, damn it.
Yeah. Let's
get that red hair fired up.
Okay, so when that happened, the flagger in me literally jumped off the couch and started yelling at the freaking TV off the top of my lungs because that irritated the hell out of me. I'm sorry. Tire came off. That should immediately be yellow. Hello, flagger, right in front of your damn eyes in corner number 4. Use the flag. Do you need glasses? I'll give you my pair of freaking glasses for you to goddamn see that damn thing.
Whoa! I've heard that it's a committee. I've heard that it takes the committee to bring a caution now because cautions were so now you're having to go through structures to find out when it is available to throw a caution. But as Taz said, when you got a freaking car pulling on the pit road and it doesn't have a tire, you don't see the tire anywhere. That's about 3 seconds before you say, okay, I don't know where this tire is. We need to have a caution here. And you know that's not what happened.
But you have two NASCAR officials in the flag stand. Neither one of them can see the damn tire from the flag stand to turn 4. And
you couldn't see the car leaning to the right. I mean,
it's the flag.
If we had 5 lug nuts, we wouldn't be looking at a tire up against the wall in the flag stand. You know. I mean, seriously, how many times did we lose a tire off of a car when we had 5 freaking lug nuts? This experiment has gone wrong in every aspect.
Look at what happened to that rim. Did you see the close-up of that rim?
Yeah, that
was just insane.
Yeah, it broke the rim. It literally it tore the insides of the rim out. So there was a lot of force there that created an effect to break that rim in that regard. So it's unreal. This is as I go back to once again. I hate to say it, but this car has been a complete failure in all aspects.
You know, we worry about our show being a shit show, but this new car, it's 10 times worse. This car is a disaster. The one lug nut policy has not worked because it's still coming off. Somebody, I think it was Amarola's crew member, jumped up on the box and said, "I'm not sure I got the lug nut tight." It's one nut, you friggin' idiot. How do you not get it tight? How do you not get one lug nut tight?
Does anybody at this panel believe that the Xfinity car is actually the better race car and actually produces the better racing of all three series?
I think the truck series is better than.
I used to give it to the truck series, but since all these new young kids have taken over the truck series, and it's basically been the same kids that were wrecking an ARCA are now wrecking the trucks. We've watched this for several years now. It started in ARCA about 5 or 6 years ago. Well, now these drivers are racing in the truck series, and it's just become, literally chaos every time they show up somewhere. But the Xfinity car is the perfect reminder that we had once a stock car that we all enjoyed racing. And it's a shame that there's nowhere in either of these vehicles outside of the Cup Series that actually give you any training for that Cup Series car. You have basically created a car that is unlike any other car in any other series from top to bottom. And where's the development for this car? Like, why? I just say scratch it. Let's just become Xfinity race fans. Let's just give up on. They need a fan base in Xfinity. Let's go, Brandon.
Oh God!
There we go.
We are going to Talladega this week. Let's go, Brandon.
We were at an Easton Corbin concert Friday and Saturday night, and the bass player has a "Let's Go Brandon" sticker on the back of his bass that he lifts up during introductions. The crowd in both venues went ballistic, and I was ecstatic to see that mantra still carries on 3-4 years later.
No, of course. I mean, it's
I just wish Brandon would get some money out of it.
Yeah, instead it ruined his career.
I think it was last year. I think it was beginning of the season. He was supposed to get like his own like Bitcoin sponsorship or something like that.
Yeah, NASCAR nixed it.
Yeah, and NASCAR rejected it after he revealed the sponsor.
Yes.
And the funny part is, like, all of that's supposed to be approved through NASCAR so that he can reveal it. And I don't know whoever approved it, and then NASCAR's like, "Oh, you revealed it. Nope, see you later." I
wonder if they approved it based on specs. I wonder if they approved it based on specs, and then when they realized that probably not going to go over real big with our Democrat friends, that they're like, yeah, no, it's going to hurt us. Bubba's going to get offended.
I tell you, went from Donald Trump riding around Daytona to the Bubba fiasco. I tell you, It's been a hell of a ride. Just in Race Chat Live's existence, we went from Donald Trump riding around and parading the field at the start of the Daytona 500 to parading behind Bubba Wallace in an incident that happened at Talladega Super Speedway that didn't really happen. Amazing how much that name has come up tonight. So Talladega. Y'all coming? Why don't y'all come down and see us?
Well, I probably would if I wasn't. Jason was just down south. He was just in the Carolinas.
Yeah, but we need that Lear jet we were talking about a few years ago. Maybe you can send one down for us.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for an advertising budget.
Right? I'm telling you. So tell us a little bit about your week this week, Craig. I think you got to fill in.
I got to fill in Saturday morning,
radio show.
Wednesday morning for my dad. He had to go get some blood work done, and it was a little. If you think that guys that are behind that board are sitting there doing absolutely nothing in between songs, you cannot be more wrong. There is more to do in 3 minutes than you can imagine. Moving stuff around, trying to figure out whose voice is who's on a commercial so you don't play the same voice back to back. Taking phone calls off the air. So it was definitely an experience. I'm going to do it again probably. He's actually planning on going on vacation for 2 weeks to London in July or August. They're planning it, him and my stepmom. So he was like, boy, you're going to have to fill in, so you're going to have to learn. And I'm like, dude, I am not filling in unless I get your paycheck.
Better leave you a good tip.
I'm not doing it for my salary, and I have a pretty good salary, but I'm not doing it for my salary. But it was definitely a learning experience. I was very appreciative. Matter of fact, in these computers, in this program that we use, it tells you what time the commercial is supposed to play, and then it tells you what time it actually played. So it will rat you out quicker than somebody that's mad at you for something. So I played a commercial a minute and a half late, and my father goes, I'm probably going to get yelled at for that. I said, tell him kiss your ass. It got played.
That's funny.
It's not one of mine, so I don't really care.
So we got Taz's picks coming up here in just a little bit. I could see probably closing out kind of early tonight and getting things, getting everybody in bed a little bit earlier. Since we didn't have an itinerary, we kind of bounced here and bounced there, but it's okay.
But yeah, you know what? We've hit all the hot topics, Chris. So we're good.
We have.
Yeah, we didn't even have to hear one time. Stay on topic, because we nailed every single one of them.
Yeah, that's kind of part of what was wrong this week. It's all basically come down to one thing: the car freaking sucks. The racing wasn't all that great, and if NASCAR is going to commit to rain tires, let's race in rain tires, and that means racing in the rain instead of we have all this shit on a car, and we're just going to come out there when it's a light when the track's just a little bit of moisture on it. I don't get the whole thing there. But one thing I think we did learn was that these cars race better with groove tires, and maybe that's something NASCAR can look into and bring, a better package. We've got to get better racing here. Please, all of us here at Race Chat Live beg you, NASCAR, get this shit right, okay? And IndyCar, I don't know what the hell y'all are thinking, but it was cool to find out, 2 days later, that some rookie kid or something won your race. But when you're racing at the same time as NASCAR, even when the racing freaking sucks, we're still going to tune in because that's what we do. Why race IndyCar on top of NASCAR? Why put either one of those fan bases against each other? When we're race fans, we'll watch racing when it's on TV. I promise you, I'll watch a race over the USFL or the XFL But when there's not shit else on TV, I'm probably going to watch USFL or XFL. So take Roger Penske, whoever I need to talk to, whoever I need to send the memo to, please stop racing on top of NASCAR. Anybody got thoughts on that?
Exactly, because you know what? I like watching Indy races, but, you know, when they're going head-to-head, I'm picking the NASCAR race.
I agree. All right. Well, I think we're going to move on into Taz's picks, and I don't know how in the hell Taz's picks would even be relevant this week because we're going to Talladega Super Speedway. You can basically invert the field with 5 to go and still not be able to know who the hell is going to win.
I got to tell you something. I got to tell you something real quick. Teresa says to me, where are we at this week? I said, well, for the DJ business or the racing? She goes, racing. I said, okay. I said, we're at Talladega. She says, okay. I said, whatever you thinking your pick is, just throw it out the window because it don't much matter. I said, you can be 90th on the track with 10 to go and be leading and get passed in the last corner. I said, so B.J. McLeod, who is a backmarker driver, could miraculously win this race because he's in the right place at the right time to make the right pass. And she was like, well, shit, that's okay. She goes, Craig, oh, my God, that don't make this.
Go ahead. Finish.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I want to hear this.
No, I mean, I just say I know who the hell is not going to win. That's going to be Cody Ware. Back to what you were saying.
Well, he's only going to win in a fight, but he can grab a piece of material or whatever. But she was like, oh, great. She says, so who do I pick? And I'm like, you know what? I'll show you the gene pool and you pick from it. I said, because there's no logic to this week. She goes, well,
no,
Taz usually gives good. Yeah, she goes, and she gives you credit, Taz. I'm not really sure why, but she gives you credit. And she says, well, Taz's picks normally, you know, do fairly well. And I'm like, well, let's look at the standings first before you say that. She goes, so I think I'm going to go with whoever he suggests. I said, yes, dear, because I ain't arguing.
Hey, as Chris said a couple weeks ago, this hot pick segment that I have basically started and we have ran with, it's actually paid off because there have been some long shot picks that either we would not think of as like us 110 Nation folks would have made, or there were picks that we didn't even mention at all during this segment that have been made, and it's actually paid off. Like, for instance, when Atlanta came in, I mentioned Corey LaJoie as a contender. Chris thought I was high on meth or something like that. And
well, you live in Gloversville, New York. Listen, you live in Gloversville, New York. Anything is possible.
I live just outside of Mayfield.
I never said that.
But somebody picked Corey LaJoie and.
But you have a Gloversville address.
Shoot. Yes, I live in. Okay, so this is how screwed up it is. Ready? Mayfield School District and Fire Department, Gloversville mailing address, Broad Albin phone number. There you go.
Back to the point. Don't Craig, do this to you.
So there is incest in that area. I knew it. Jesus Christ. This show went off the rails real quick.
Yeah, it did.
But anyways, this segment we've been having has been paying off because, like I said, the whole Corey LaJoie deal. Somebody picked Corey LaJoie and it paid off. Somebody has picked Tyler Reddick when at that time we weren't even considering him as anything, and he was a long shot. And Tyler Reddick paid off for them. I mean, you can sit here and say, "Oh, this segment may not work," but it may have actually worked in a way. It kind of opens our eyeballs, but everyone else.
No, I believe it works. I'm just busting your ass because if I win the show without busting your ass, you think I was mad at you.
No. I think this weekend it's completely irrelevant. I think that's the only time that this is completely irrelevant. I am with you, Taz Taylor. For the most part, all year long, I think the committee, including your the committee has put together and brought in some great names, and these are names that are in the point system somewhere between 22nd and first, and we're coming to a super speedway race where the last time we were at one of these racetracks, Ricky Stenhouse won, and that was the Daytona 500. Does that make Ricky a legitimate threat for this race? Not really. Not really at all.
No, I can counter that one.
Probably.
I will counter you because, if you think about it really, even though Atlanta's not technically a super speedway in terms of how big the track is, it races like one. So, we've kind of had two super speedway races if you want to go down that path.
I agree.
Yeah, well, Atlanta.
So, we have two super speedway races that we can literally judge off of practically for this one.
Yeah, how did Harrison Burton do in either one of those?
Who cares?
Damn. Sad, you're feisty tonight. I like that.
Yeah, but we all agree by laughing.
Yeah, because you just don't expect it from him. I like it, man. Bust the balls, Taz. It's about time. Oh, Lord. Because he might be somebody's pick. Seriously. Paul Menard could be somebody's pick in this race.
And he's not even
I know, but Menard's is. Shit, he'll be on somebody's car. Does that technically say that Paul Menard won the race?
All right, so I'm going to answer Chris's question. Ready? At Daytona, Harrison Burton finished 26th after starting 19th. And we're going to go back to Atlanta. Harrison Burton, still not top 10, still not top 15.
He's a legitimate winner. He's a legitimate contender.
Harrison Burton in Atlanta finished 34th after starting 33rd and only completed 190 of 260 laps.
I would save 21 in my head if Harrison Burton gets the top 5.
But we can't leave out the people that, are ideally super speedway racers. Yeah, you can basically, put all the drivers in a hat and draw a name out, and that's who you're going with. But there are people that do have that super speedway skill set.
Mentality, mojo. Yeah, the mojo. Well, Joey Logano is one of them. Kyle Busch is one of them. You've seen Ross Chastain and Chase Elliott win there. The guys who typically win, they somehow, Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski is a sure enough. I don't think there's anybody that's got more wins at super speedways than Brad Keselowski. The guy's amazing. Typically, you don't see your Martin Truex Jr.'s or your Denny Hamlin, unless it's Daytona. Daytona, if it's Daytona 500, Denny Hamlin will win it. But tell me, has he ever won any other super speedway race? That's an interesting.
Twice at Talladega.
Denny Hamlin's won twice at Talladega?
Yes, sir.
When?
Oh, boy. Now I got to go further.
It had to have been before I started going.
Here we go. Hold on, I got it. First in 2014.
Oh, my God. Denny Hamlin won since we've been going. And a fall race or I would have both of them.
Fall race.
Yeah. And when was the other one?
No.
And don't forget that A.J. Allmendinger won in an Xfinity race at Talladega.
Oh, Chris, I'm sorry. It was
Yeah.
the spring race, spring 2014. And he finished first back in COVID year.
Wow.
The fall race, COVID year.
He won. I thought that was Bubba Wallace.
According to what I have, he's won.
No, you're right. You're right. It was yeah. Wow. That's amazing. So I didn't go to the one in 2021, so that's I did not see that one. And how the 2014 one surpassed my brain, I don't know. I'll have to go back and watch that race. That's very, very unusual that I don't remember. I think I mean, I've been to a lot of them, though, so I really shouldn't be surprised. But, yeah, so we got A.J. Allmendinger, who could be a contender. The underdogs, Corey LaJoie, for sure. Like, is Justin Haley. Where does he go on this list? Because that guy's got a lot of super speedway wins. Where does Haley go on this list, Taz?
Chris, let me start off my list. I don't know if somebody wants to re-pull it up on the group chat as a boost, but I have.
Oh, okay. I can do that.
I have for favorites Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick. Contenders, I have William Byron, Bubba Wallace, Austin Dillon. Underdogs, I have Justin Haley, Daniel Suarez, Chris Buescher. I do think Craig added in his comments. I'm going to bring those back up.
I've got it right here. Craig added Recchi as a favorite, Christopher Bell as a contender, and Michael McDowell as an underdog.
There you go. I mean, this guy's got a super speedway win.
And I absolutely agree that the Dinger's got to be added as a contender.
Yep, I do too. I second that.
Okay.
So that's two contenders. All right.
So we're up to
Bill's
5
been
contenders, 4 underdogs, and 4 favorites. There is a Ford driver that we have not hit upon yet. I'm waiting for that one.
Well,
And
Eric Amarola should be
and
considered.
I purposely left him out for a reason.
Oh.
So I want to see if you guys
would
would
be
hit
my
it.
pick. Yeah, I'm probably gonna miss him on purpose. Eric Amarola should be added as the underdog. Hey.
You said Amarola. I could actually argue contender for him.
Well, I just don't want him to outrun Harvick.
Harvick is a favorite.
I know.
But I can argue that he's a contender.
Where's Joey at?
And
Why isn't Joey on his list?
Logano's... Oh, no, Joey's not on there.
He is literally probably outside of Kyle Larson. I mean, the second best driver in NASCAR, if you consider Kyle Larson the best driver in NASCAR.
I want to throw Eric Jones as an underdog. We can throw Corey LaJoie in there, too.
Well, we need one more favorite. Who would that be?
Well, I mean, to equal the underdog list, we need one more contender and 2 favorites.
2 favorites. One contender.
And I heard Logano's name come up.
Yeah.
We didn't
Ryan
list him as
Blaney's got him
anywhere.
a win. Ryan Blaney's got him a win at Super Speedway.
Ryan Blaney's got 2 wins at Dega.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see them going either or, favorites or contenders.
And no Ross Chastain. Where's all my Chastain guys at? Where's his fanboy? Is he not on no more? Watermelon man.
No, I'm here.
Have you? How much is
I originally had put him down.
Craig?
Sir, what's that?
I've seen a watermelon up here for $12. What is the cost of a watermelon down here?
You know what? I don't know. I'll see if I can do some research and find out.
Yeah, $12 is the going
Holy.
rate up here. $12.
For how big?
Just as you know, your typical watermelon.
Is it seeded or seedless?
Yeah, seeded, of course.
I'm just asking because they're a little more expensive if they're seedless.
Yeah, no, we have the best watermelons, I think, in the world. But $12 is, damn, I mean, that's how you have to take a loan out just to buy a damn watermelon.
Well, y'all want to buy fruit out of season, you're going to pay for it.
Well, this was true, too. But these are homegrown, so.
I can get one at Walmart.
Yeah, I think they're
for
like $8.95 or something at Walmart.
$6.48.
Yeah.
All right, so back on topic here.
Wait. We've not been on topic all night, Kaz, so just slow your roll there, redhead.
Yeah, I mean, we can't talk about NASCAR because
Chill down,
it
Mr.
sucks,
Sunny
so
Man
we're
in
gonna find
Florida.
something else to talk about. We'll be like Yellowstone live here tonight. You know, I mean, we'll talk about stuff. Starbucks for crying out loud. Shit, we'll find something to talk about. Want to talk about the economy? Jesus Christ.
No, because
let's talk about grocery prices this week. Holy shit. But I guess we should finish this list. I think that's probably the most important thing we do.
yeah, let's not upset Kaz. He'll turn gray and his fire will shoot up the top of his head.
Any
fires already shot on top of my head earlier. Y'all brought up the
senior racing experience news.
Yeah. Is there any senior racing experience news? We've not even hit on that shit this week.
Hey, how about Tony Stewart? Tony Stewart won in a damn drag car. The guy can do anything.
Yeah, I seen that. I was like, hot damn, that man is talented.
4 wide he won. Wow. Jeez, man. Tony Stewart. I wasn't surprised. Were you surprised? I was like, whoop, there it is.
No. No, I knew it was just a matter of time.
Yeah, whoop, there it is.
I just want to know when he gets divorced, if she gets half of his assets.
Ooh, maybe he gets half of hers.
Maybe. Go ahead, Kaz. We're sorry, buddy.
What's on that list?
All right.
So we added Ross Chastain. He's got to win. We have to add him.
So I'm thinking Logano and Blaney in the favorites and Chastain as a contender.
Maybe so. I just hate adding 2 Penske cars as a favorite. But I can see this. I can see where it's legitimate. But how are we not going to put Cindric, who's won the Daytona 500, on my list? And if we're going to go with 3 Penskes, then we might as well just go with the 4th Penske car, because we all know Harrison Burton's going to win this race, and I'm going to have to shave 21 inside of my head.
Well,
Jake
again,
is such a crapshoot, guys. You know, it's literally like Kaz said earlier, pick a name out of a hat.
Yeah, who's running 21st right now? Who's 21st in points? I
go
know
ahead and say
Taz
it.
is
Who
like
cares?
Taz. Come on, Taz. I thought your fingers were working. Who's in 21st? It's probably Bobby Waller.
Geez. No. You're close, but no.
Who is it?
Mr. Rhinestone
Ricky?
Cowboy.
Oh, Lord. 2 and a 1 equals a 3, of course. That's your pick. That's your pick. Oh, God. It's Talladega, y'all. I mean, that's what we get. At least maybe we'll get some kind of excitement. It is a shame that we finally had an upbeat point, in our viewership, and they got to watch a crappy race when that could have been a premier race that left people excited and something to talk about for the whole rest of the week. Most time when we show up at Martinsville, if we don't have a good race, we at least have a good fight. We got neither this time. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
this is the track where tempers flare. And what do we see? Almirola and Suarez exchanged words, and that was it. There was no helmet throwing, no punch throwing, no chasing each other through the pit.
Yeah, just a bunch of good little boys in there, race cars that all look the same and drive the same. Bring parity back, NASCAR. I'm sorry. We bitched and cried too much. Listen to our show. We bitched and cried way too much, and now we done screwed everything up. So don't listen to us anymore, and just bring back the good cars. Make racing great again. Jesus Christ. It's been a hell of a show, y'all. Thank you if you hung along and listened to our bitch show all for the last hour and a half, then I commend you, and I'll pay you $100. You just send me that message that you're listening to this show, and I'll pay you $100. And if I don't pay you $100, then at least maybe you can listen to the show next week and see if I'm going to pay you your $100 or not. Because, you never know. I may just feel feisty and pay you $100 just because you were listening to the show. I don't know. But
It's
anyway,
a crapshoot.
It's the crapshoot. That's what's coming up. If you're listening to the show, ask me about that $100. Craig said he was paying it because he's got a good salary. He just told us all he had a good salary. Y'all missed that. And Craig, we're coming down for Daytona. Move over, buddy. All right. Taz, I think we got a new sponsor or something to hit. Mr. CJ Sports has been working really, really hard. Some new opportunities and some new sponsors, and he's given us some new tools that we are able to work with. I think the launch of the radio network, the 110 Nation Radio Network, is that what I've seen, Taz Taylor? I believe I'll leave that with you.
So what you're referring to is Mr. CJ is trying to bring traffic to the 110 Nation Sports website, which is www.the110nationsportsradionetwork.com. You'll find links to sponsors. We'll put up blogs of anything we've posted on Facebook in terms of our NASCAR pool, or we'll post show links on there. Just about anything sports related, racing related, show related, will be put on that website. Of course, sponsor plugins, and of course all of our where you can find us everywhere on social media, and where you can also listen to any of our shows, not just Race Chat Live, but also the 110 Nation Sports Show that Mr. CJ has with, I believe, Mario, if I didn't forget his name, over at Carolina Sports Plus, that they have, I believe, Wednesday nights.
Mario Edwards. Yeah, they got a cool show coming on tomorrow night as well. Yeah, they got somebody blast from the past, I believe, to come on and talk a little bit of NBA and all.
That would be Jay Spearman, who way back when in 2013 was our NBA specialist for 110 Nation Sports.
Wow. Bringing them back. That was before my time. But Taz, go ahead and finish this out here, man, so we get going.
Sure thing. Thank you, everyone, for listening along to Race Chat Live here on Blog Talk Radio. If you ever miss us live at any time, you can listen to us at any time you feel like on all your podcast needs, such as Blog Talk Radio, podpage.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, RSS Feed, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, GeoSaven, Podcast Addict, Deezer, Podchaser, and on YouTube. Our thank you to our sponsors that make the 110 Nation roll: Phoenix Fitness, Bears Bullish Market Talk Group, Carolina Sports Plus, Yellow Caution Flag Productions, More to Music Entertainment, TNT Designs. And we want to thank everyone for listening to Race Chat Live. Make sure you check out the 110 Nation Sports website, which is, again, www.the110nationsportsradionetwork.com for all your news and things like that. And without further ado, we'll see you at the same bat time, same bat place next Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. This has been the Caution Flag of Racing Radio. Chris Creighton, DJ Music Man Craig Moore, the Mama Bear of the 110 Nation, Miss Lee Reed. I'm the Tasmanian Double Flagger, Taz Taylor, saying good night. We'll see y'all next week.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.